our Facebook channels or on our YouTube page. Welcome to the Tuesday Tips Live Summer School. Because as you can probably tell, I am no longer holed up in the studio. In fact, I'm here in my house, and this is my garden, and I'm going to be here presenting these probably from here if it works today for the next 9 weeks. Consider this the Tuesday Tips Live Summer School. And over the next 9 weeks, we'll maybe get a different vibe to these before school starts again in September, and we'll be back in the main studio in Gibraltar, which is about 40 miles that way. This is my villa on the top of the hill where my family and I come every summer. So I'm really looking forward to this. We'll have a new vibe to these Tuesday Tips Live broadcasts over the next couple of months or so. And I'd love to know what you would like us to cover in the summer school. Because just like any summer school, we're going to try and get some activities going here that are good fun. By the way, massive apologies if you're in the Southern Hemisphere watching this thinking it's not summer. So yeah, that's what we're going to do anyway. Well, look, welcome everyone. If you're new to this thinking, what the hell's going on here? It's Digital DJ Tips, is still Digital DJ Tips. I'm still Phil Morse, the guy who founded the school. And our whole job here is to help you become better DJs and better DJ producers. We do that through our website, digitaldjtips.com, through our YouTube channel, through Instagram, through Facebook, where you might well be watching this today with all our free stuff. But also, of course, we have DJ courses. We have about 20 DJ courses and 21,000 students that we've built up over the past 8 years on our paid for courses. So we do everything. We've got something for everyone. Hopefully we can help you today. So the question now is, what are we talking about today? Well, there's a story behind what we're talking about today, because yesterday we did the busiest live training session we've ever done. We invited everyone on our list and we had about 2,000 people, over 2,000 people applied for it, but there were only 1,001 spots, and I had one of the spots, so that left 1,000. So lots of people couldn't get to follow that live training, and there was problems with our email system sending out, because it was like a webinar kind of thing, a bit like this but a bit more involved. And the subject of the training was 5 big mistakes that DJs are still making in 2019, and because that training was awesome, because it went really well, and also because so many people missed it, we thought we would just kind of repeat the main points of it on our Tuesday Tips Live today. So that's what I'm going to do today. We're going to be talking through 5 big mistakes that DJs are still making in 2019. So if you're new to DJing and you don't want to make these mistakes, or you are returning to DJing and you don't want to make the mistakes that maybe you made once in the past and you might make again if you're not told, or you're just struggling and maybe one of these is you. If you find that just one of the things I share with you here helps you, then I will have done my job and we will have done something useful today. So that's what we're going to talk about. So if you're new to the channel, please do subscribe, click the bell, click the follow, and then click the show us these posts first, because that means that you will get to see these things when they go live. If you're watching the replay, it's probably because you weren't subscribed to the channel and so you missed this live, and I would rather you saw it live, because guess what, anything could happen. I might to just give you the kind of background of the situation here. The kids are on the way back from their summer school soon. I might well just keep broadcasting until my children run up and start to occupy my time, and then I'll say bye-bye, but who knows. We've got about half an hour, I think. So that's what we're going to do. Hello to everyone over on the Global DJ Network, our DJ group. This place is awesome. If you're not in the Global DJ Network yet, you ought to be. It's our private Facebook group, and if you want to join it, there's a couple of thousand people in there already, and they're all saying this is the best place I've ever been for learning to DJ. If you want to join that group and you're not in it, go to our normal Facebook page, Digital DJ Tips, facebook.com/Digital DJ Tips. Click message, so you can send us a message, and just type the word join, and we'll get you joined up manually to that group. It's a very exclusive group. We're joining everyone up manually to keep it nice. So yeah, hello to everyone over on the Global DJ Network. Of course, hello to everyone on Facebook, and hello to everyone on our YouTube channel. We are streaming simultaneously on all those places. So before we get going on the 5 key areas that you might be making these big mistakes in, I just want to read out a few very early hellos. And if you're watching the replay on any of those channels and thinking, will you get to the point, mate? This is a live show. This is just a recording of it you're watching for posterity. You should have caught it live. It's not going to be a 5-minute video and then we're done. So just to let you know that, just to set your expectations. So hi to DJ Danny Dobson, hi to Mick, hi to Gail, hi to Lee and Andy, all on Facebook. Hi to Devrin on Facebook, says good morning. Michael says, what's up, Phil? What's up, Michael? Hi to Della, hi to Gerald. These are all Facebook people. Hi to Toms, who says hello to everyone else. DJ Fady says Tractor 3.2 was announced today. Is it stable? Far as we know. over on YouTube. Hi to Boris and hi to Jonathan, who says hello and welcome from Texas. Good to have you there. Hi to Mark over on YouTube as well. How's it hanging? Says Ross. Good to have you here, Ross. Randy watching from the Philippines. Hi to Nikos. Hi to Happy Face number 1, who says, have you got any advice for kids starting DJing for the first time? Just get going. I don't think kids need advice. They're just going to get going at it, right? But of course, come and watch our videos. We're here for you as well. DJ AP Official says, thanks for the help, Phil. And DJ Fixer the dozen one says, hi Phil, thanks for the teaching. DJ Dash, my man Phil. Hi to Carlos and Michael, all on YouTube as well. Right, let's get going. We're talking about 5 mistakes that I see DJs still making today in 2019, and I've been doing this for a long time, so I've seen these mistakes come and go. We are outdoors today, so if you hear cars and traffic and sirens, and it's quite quiet around here normally, but wind as well, that's why. So it's a summer school. This is the beginning of our summer school. Right, so the number one, so remember the way we teach DJing, if you're new to this, we wrote a book called Rock the Dance Floor, which is a #1 Amazon bestseller on how to DJ. And the formula we discovered in that book is that there are 5 key areas to DJing success. They are, going from left to right, gear, music, techniques, playing out and promoting yourself. Gear, music, techniques, playing out and promoting yourself. And we realised that unless you work on all 5 areas, you're not going to get success as a DJ. It's kind of this multifaceted thing, learning to DJ, right? So what I thought I would do is pick a big mistake out from all of those 5, right? One from gear, which is the techie stuff. One from music, which is your collection. One from techniques, which is the mixing and the skills. One from playing out, which is the performing stuff. And one from promoting yourself, which is kind of getting yourself more gigs. I thought I'd pick an error from all of those areas, so that if you are struggling in any of those areas, there'll be something for you here, right? So that's what we're going to do. So let's start with number 1, gear. So the biggest mistake I see people making when it comes to DJ gear is thinking that the next piece of gear that they can afford is the one that's going to get them the breakthrough. The piece of gear that's in their mind is the one that if only they could get that, everything would fall together, and that the thing holding them back is what they're DJing on right now. This is a really insidious little error, because what it does is rob you of time. Because the time today, right now, is when you should be practicing this stuff on the gear that you've got right now. What's around the corner is not here. It doesn't matter. So let me give you a little story. When I started DJing, it was belt drive turntables. They cost about £100, about $120 each, and they were rubbish. And then you got a really crappy little mixer, and you plugged it all together, and it was really hard to DJ on, but you got your skills, and then finally you could afford Technics turntables at some point, 5 years after buying the cheap ones. And that was about the end of it as far as the gear went, right? So guess what? The biggest explosion in dance music the world has ever seen happened with a load of DJs using exactly what I just talked about. The gear didn't come into it. The truth is that if you've got a cheap DJ controller nowadays, it can do 100 times more than those turntables could back then. Another thing, look in the big DJ booths today. Everyone's just using bog standard CDJs. They're not using any of the gear that you think is so important for DJing. And I say bog standard because, trust me, your little Pioneer DDJ SB or DDJ 400 or your little Newmark mix track can do as much as the CDJs can do, probably more. And it can do 50 times more than the turntables could do for us in our day. So the idea that you need the latest piece of amazing gear, and by the way, we love gear, we review gear, it's awesome. But the idea that you need that to succeed in your DJing is massively misguided, and it's robbing you of the time that you should be spending practicing. The truth is, you need 4 things in order to use a piece of DJ gear. You need 2 independent sources of music. You need to be able to alter the speeds of those pieces of music. You need to be able to mix those pieces of music together to cut out the gaps. And you need, finally, to be able to listen to one of those sources of music separately from the other. So in other words, the audience is hearing one, you're listening to the other on your headphones. So you can cue stuff up and get stuff ready. That's it. You can do that on anything. You can do that on your phone nowadays. So don't think the gear is holding you back. You can learn all the skills of DJing on absolutely anything. It's really important that you bear that in mind and remember that, because if you don't, you're going to be waiting for the next big thing and you're going to be missing your chance to hustle and get on in this game. So that's our first. That is our first kind of big mistake we see people making over and over again. I've got gear, but the DJ booth is not going to give you exactly what you expect, says Ali. Well, that's true, but the thing is, Ali, if you learn the basic skills of DJing, you can DJ on anything, and we're going to talk about that in a minute. So can you honestly say the same for the Newmark Party Mix, says Jonathan? Yeah, man, the Newmark Party Mix does everything. It does 50 times more than my turntables used to do, and it's got those 4 things. So yes, you can. Whatever gear you use, just make sure it's stable, says Mark. Make sure your laptop is good enough and make sure the music will never stop. Look, you're not going to learn to play in front of 1,000 people on a little Newmark DJ to go, but you can still learn all the skills you need to play in front of 1,000 people. All I'm saying is don't let the gear hold you back. Of course, there are practicalities here. Okay, so let's move on. Lots and lots and lots of comments. Chris says, Phil the Pill, he's my drug. They used to call me Phil the Pill back in 1992, not because I was a drug dealer or anything. I don't know why. Probably because it rhymed. Matthew says, Phil, glad to be here. Thanks for all you do. I'm really enjoying the course. So this is our complete DJ course. Good to hear that, Matthew. I'll tell you a bit more about that later, people. All right then, let's move on because I want to cover all 5 and I want to cover them before my children get home. When they do get home, I will permit them to come and say hello to you guys if I haven't finished, but hopefully we'll be out of here by then. All right then, so number 2 of the 5 is music. We're going to move on from gear to music. So this is the biggest mistake I see people making with their music collection in 2019. By the way, the reason the problem for the gear is bigger in 2019 is that back in the day we didn't have any choice of gear. It was just turntables. Then CDJs arrived and then nothing changed for another 10 years. Now you've got all this stuff. You know, we're part of the problem really if you're not strong about this, because we review it all. We love it. I love the gear. The DJ controller I use at home is a Denon Prime 4 at the moment and I love it. But I understand that it's not the reason that I can DJ. You know, the gear is not making me a DJ, right? That's the point I'm trying to make. So that's why in 2019 it's so hard, because there's so much gear to choose from. So with music, the biggest mistake I see people make is that they think they need a huge music collection to be a DJ. They think they need a huge music collection to be a DJ. And actually, that couldn't be further from the truth, and that's probably harming you in lots and lots of ways. So the first way it's harming you is a bit like the way the gear question is harming you, because it's probably stopping you getting gigs. Because you think, I can't play out till I've got a huge collection of music, so I better wait. Look, to play an hour, you need 20 tunes maximum, right? And so you need, if you're going to follow the rule we teach in our training, which is you need to take about twice the amount of music than you're actually going to play, because that gives you opportunities to go off in different directions. To play an hour DJ set, you need 40 tunes. So even if your first gig is like 5 hours, which I don't recommend by the way, you're still going to only play a maximum of 80, 100 tunes. So you need a couple of 100 tunes. That's it. So the idea that you need a huge music collection to be a DJ is completely wrong. So that's one reason it's holding you back from your gigs. But a second reason is there's no way if you've got 5 terabytes of music, you can know every one of those tunes. Tell you a story. The days of Napster, you remember the illegal Napster? Some dude set up an internet connection and set up his computer downloading basically everything on Napster. He had millions and millions of tunes, terabytes of music on his hard drive, or hundreds of thousands of tunes. And he got in a lot of trouble, and he was hauled into court by the record labels, and they tried to fine him like 1 cent for every tune he had, but it worked out at, you know, millions and millions. But his defense lawyer said, look, there's no way that my client actually meaningfully owns any of those pieces of music, because my client hasn't got a long enough lifespan to listen to them all once. So if my client can't even listen to them, in what sense does he really own them? You know, if you own something, you've got to at least know where it is and know what it is. My client doesn't know where these tunes are other than they're on that hard drive, and he doesn't know what they are. So really, he doesn't own them. And the thing is, if you're hoarding music like a DJ thinks they ought to, I like that track, so I'll get the album. I like that playlist, so I'll download the lot. You will end up with a massive collection of music where you haven't properly listened to it, you don't know it very well, you're probably never going to DJ with 99% of it. So in what way, shape or form do you actually own that music? I'm going to argue that you don't. But what it does do is give you this whole long list of stuff to search through every time you're looking for the next record to play. It's confusing you. It's muddying the waters. It's far better to have a tiny collection and add to it really carefully. So to put it another way, it's better to know all your music than to have all your music. There's no point having loads of music that you don't know. So I'll give you an example from the world, superstar DJ world. As some of you know, we've been working with Laidback Luke recently, and Luke has been DJing for decades, and Luke plays 5 gigs a week sometimes. Luke's got 3,500 tunes in his collection. So if a DJ who plays that often and who's been playing for that long has got 3,500 tunes in his collection, I'm going to tell you now for a fact, you don't need more than that. So if you think you need a huge record collection in order to play the odd gig, not only are you wrong, but you're holding yourself back with that belief. Add to your collection slowly. Luke says he adds about 20 records a week to his collection, right? So if you're adding more than that, it's probably too many. Another example of this is, a plumber, right? Imagine a plumber, right? the guy who comes to mend your sink, turns up with his toolbox. Is that person a better plumber because he or she has got more tools in that toolbox? Of course they're not. It's about having the tools that you need and knowing them very well, right? It's exactly the same with music. So I don't want you to think you need a big record collection in order to DJ. Couldn't be further from the truth. Now, in last night's webinar, someone said to me, yeah, but what about mobile DJs? We need to play every request. I guarantee if you put every tune that you think you're going to need to play for a request into a big pile, right? And you take out everyone you haven't played for a year and everyone you don't honestly think you're going to play in the next year, you'll be left with 10% of them. And if you apply that rule to your whole collection, and by the way, that's how I recommend you start. If you think, Phil's right, I need to trim my collection down, take out everything and put back what you've played in the last year or what you think you're going to play in the next year. That's it. And you'll end up with a much leaner collection. And then listen to them all, get to know them all, make them your friends. Fewer is definitely more when it comes to DJ music. Right, a few comments on point number 2. Lots of hands up, there's lots of thumbs up here, which is cool. I've got 255 tunes, says Kai, but I've just stripped it out. I've got about 1,100, and I've been DJing since 1987. DJ Dash says, I see that all the time. DJs boasting about how large their music collection is. It's laughable how they think it makes them better when they don't even know what they have. Quality over quantity. I've seen this. Oh, hang on a second. That's a slightly different request. Nick says, no requests, ever. Bastards. I think you've had a bad experience there, but I'm sure a lot of us are in some kind of sympathy with you there. So a few of you saying, good point. Ali, overclutter of music collection is counter-effective. I spent years learning that skill. It's the most daunting of all, says Wiz. Jason's saying my point that as a mobile DJ, you do need to have all your tunes in case people ask for stuff. If you really think you have to play every request people ask for, why not put them on a separate drive? So in your head, you've got the stuff that's important to you and you've got the what-if stuff. Lots of people talking about this. Mark says, I've read Rock the Dance Floor. This is our book. And as an experienced DJ, probably like yourself, there's lots of things you already knew in it. But it would have been very nice to know that stuff 20 years ago. This is our book that Mark is talking about, by the way. There's quality info in there, so thank you very much for that. All right, then let's move on. There's lots and lots of comments. I can't get to them all because I do want to get through these 5 points. If you're just joining us, this is a webinar. It's a kind of recap of a webinar we did last night, which was totally oversubscribed. We couldn't get everyone on. We had to turn away half the audience because we were overwhelmed by the number of people who wanted to get on it. There was only 1,001 places and we had 2,080 people try and get on. So for everyone who didn't get on that webinar, and we had technical problems getting people in the doors, I thought I'd redo the big points. It was a lot longer than this, but I'll redo the big points today. And we're talking about the 5 mistakes I see DJs still making in 2019. And of course, the reason this is bigger in 2019 is that back in the day, music was scarce. Records were expensive. You had to be very careful about what you bought. Today, it's everywhere, right? So obviously, that abundance of music from a time of scarcity to a time of abundance is why this problem's become bigger today. Okay, that's gear and music covered. And if you missed this, there is a replay available, of course. And if you're watching it on the replay, then welcome. You can still ask questions underneath. We will get back to you. By the way, if you're finding these useful, you can really help us out by sharing this. Hit that share button on YouTube or on Facebook. It will help us get it out far and wide and help us to do this stuff. And if you're wondering about the backdrop and you've just joined us, this is our summer school. It's the Tuesday Tips Live summer school. For the next few weeks, we are live from my villa in Spain, over the border from Gibraltar, where we normally broadcast from. Why? Because it's summer. So we're going to have a bit of fun over the next few weeks. And I'd love to hear what you'd like us to cover in the summer school. Right, let's move on. The third big area that we teach DJing, the area of DJing that we teach is techniques. This is the skills. This is the technical stuff. This is the scratching, the mixing, the effects, the loops, the cues, all that stuff. So techniques is our third big area. And the biggest mistake we see people making in 2019, which is worse in 2019 than it was back in the day, is that people think they need to know all the tricks before they DJ out. People think they need to know all the tricks before they play out. Now, you might have noticed a pattern here, that we said people think they need to have the best gear to get good enough to play out. We said people need to think they have the most music in order to play out. Now, it's people think that they need to know all the tricks in order to play out. It's all moving towards playing out, right? And there's a reason for that. So why is this such a horrible thing to think? Well, Firstly, let's cover why it's worse in 2019, and there's two big reasons. Reason number one, there's just more stuff you can do on DJ Gear, which is awesome. There's so much stuff: key mixing, looping, live remixing, 4 decks, same track on all 4 decks. There's all kinds of amazing things you can do, but it does give people this kind of paralysis. They think if they don't know it all, especially people returning to DJing who are used to 2 turntables, they're like, well, if I can't use all this stuff, I've fallen behind and I shouldn't be DJing out. But look, the 2 things I want to tell you about. Number one, people don't want that. They really don't. If you see these videos on YouTube where it is a superstar DJ doing some tricks, they're showing you the trick bits. They're not showing you the whole set. People don't want that, because if you do that all night, that you will annoy them. So they want you to play the right tracks in the right order. That is what DJing is been about forever, and is still about. So as long as you can learn, we think there are 6 basic mixes, and we teach them in our training. As long as you can learn the 6 basic mixes, or I can even cut it down further than that, as long as you can cut out the gaps between the tunes, trust me, you're ready to get out there and have a go at this. You really are. And the other thing is, you learn on the job. DJing is something that is done with a crowd. It's something that's done with this kind of to and fro. You know, like, you can't learn football by throwing a ball around in your backyard. You can't do it. You have to join a team and play football. It's the same with DJing. You need to master some very, very basic skills, and then you've got to get out there. That's where you sharpen your skills, you sharpen your knife on the blade of the public, I like to say. You're not going to learn that stuff in your bedroom, and really you learn very quickly once you start gigging out that there's a lot more important than the latest mixing tricks to decide whether you succeed or not. I think another reason for this is that there's what I call the kind of YouTube DJ porn, right? It's kind of like this genre of YouTube video that's come out of the gaming channels, right? Where you see gamers having high scores, and there's this kind of heavily practiced YouTube subgenre of video where you see DJs doing some really cool stuff on their controllers and stuff, playing all the tricks, 20 tracks in 5 minutes or whatever. And then people watch those and think, oh my God, it's kind of all changed. But look, just like real porn it's not what it's really like. That's not what DJing's really like. Those videos are made for entertainment, and they're awesome. We've had them on our channel. We love them. We love making them. But they're not what DJing is about. They're just a small part of what it's about. So don't be intimidated by them. That's all I'm saying. So the techniques mistake we see people making in 2019 is thinking they need to know all the new skills and all the new features on the gear in order to just get the chance to play in front of other people. In other words, in order to get to the first base. And it really isn't true. And if you're thinking that, it's holding you back. There's basically just a couple of very simple techniques you need based around counting and based around beat mixing. And there's also just a few basic mixes. And they're little things like just knowing how to fade a track out and start another one. Knowing how to count in the next track when the other one's finished. These things aren't hard. And once you've got those, you are set up to play in public. And the rest of it can come in time. So before we move on to number 4, we're covering 5 big mistakes we see people making in 2019. I want to read out just a few of your comments about this one. So over on Facebook, Toms says, that's so true. You can learn new tricks while playing live in front of the crowd. Mark says, even with digital mixing, you still need to listen. Whether you use sync or just copy the BPM counter, you still have to line up the beats. Not every track is quantized and gridded exactly. That's very true. And that's why the first thing we teach in all our training is manual beat mixing. We teach it before everything, because once you've got that, you can play on anything. So it's really good to see a lot of you chatting to each other over in the comments underneath these videos. That's what it's all about. So especially to you people on the Global DJ network, it's good to see you talking to each other. Darren says, true, people want to hear the music, not how technically good the DJ is. DJ Dash says, when it comes to effects, less is definitely more. It's tacky to do at a wedding. Even scratching is out of place at a wedding. Although you can kind of like do a little baby scratch to drop in, I don't know, dropping a big track right. I think that's all right anywhere nowadays. But anyway, totally get what you're saying there. When I used to DJ in the vinyl days, says DJ Birdie UK, it was so much easier. Now I understand my 2 problems are trying to be too creative when I'm mixing, and also I feel my library is organised wrong, so too many different genres and stuff. Well, we're talking about those things today. Hopefully some of these tips can help you there. I straight mix, no messing around with effects, says Rob. Daniel says, I bought your book on Amazon, and thank you for giving me the PDF as well, Phil. It's helped a lot, so I'm glad about that. I am a mobile DJ, so I'm one of the people who maybe would get a lot of requests, says Deverin, and I play mainly weddings, and I can use the same group of songs for a majority of them, so I agree with you, Phil. Michael says, I'm guilty of having too much music, but this is because I love collecting music. However, having small crates of curated music allows me to find songs quickly. And also, there's a difference between collecting music and collecting music to DJ with. You can keep those two things separate. I use Spotify for collecting music nowadays. I've got hundreds of albums. I've got stuff that I'd never play at a DJ set, but my little local collection, that's for my DJing. That might work for you as well. Right, let's move on because my wife has just left the building to get the children. They will be here any minute now. So when they get back, all hell's going to break loose, and I'm going to have to stop this. So let's move on to number 4 of 5, which is playing out. So the big mistake we see people making in 2019 when it comes to playing out is they're not taking enough gigs. And actually, this used to be the case, and it's still the case now. Not taking the gigs that they're offered. So here's the thing, when you're a new DJ, you shouldn't turn down anything. We call it the 10% rule. If 90% of you says, no, I'm not taking that, I don't want to take it, it's terrible, I won't be able to do it, I'm going to make a fool of myself, it's not the kind of genre I play, it's not what I'm into. But 10% of you is saying, I'd quite like a go at that. For God's sake, take the gig, because you learn so much when you push yourself out of your comfort zone. That's when the learning happens. So that's reason number 1 to take the gig. But reason number 2 is DJs DJ and dreamers say that they're going to DJ one day. You need to be gigging all the time. You need to be gigging as often as possible. You can improve the quality of those gigs and the music you play and, all the other things that you wish in an ideal world those gigs would have later. But you have to get the hours under your belt. So if you're turning down gigs and you're at the beginning, you might be turning them down because you're scared you can't do them, or you might be turning them down because you're being a bit snobby and thinking it's not exactly what I want to do. Or it could be kind of a combination of the two. You're DJing's just at the stage where you think you can probably just about play a gig with the music you've got, but if you take something that's outside of your comfort zone, you won't be able to do it. There's lots of reasons, and I do understand them, but really you must, if 10% of you says, no, I'm going to fight that, feeling, and I'm going to do this anyway, take it. If nothing's saying, if everything's saying, no, I can't do this, then don't do it, dude. But otherwise, please take every gig that's offered to you, because you will learn so much. If you've ever bought a guidebook, remember the guidebooks before you had apps on your phone to a new city or a new country, you flick through it beforehand, don't you? And you think, oh, that looks good, that looks nice. And then you look at the same book when you get home a couple of months later, having visited the place. Everything you read in the book feels different, doesn't it? It's like, oh yeah, I went there, or oh, I didn't realize I'd gone there, or I went there and it's not like the book says. Everything. And you look at the map and everything feels different. That's what DJing feels like when you've played a few gigs. When you look at training videos, when you look at how you used to do it, when you look at my book, that's what DJing feels like when you've actually been there. So for God's sake, take all the gigs, people, especially at the beginning of your career. Yes, later on you can pick and choose. I'm not saying you should play everything when you've got a brand and when you've got something that you're known for, but at the beginning, take everything. So I'm back to the comments before we move on to number 5. Brandon says, you rock, Phil, always great info. Thank you for that. Happy Face number 1 says, yeah, I use Spotify as well for that reason. So Brandon says, don't forget about flow. Music preparation is the most crucial part of a set, not the actual performance. It's exactly true. It really is true. We always say the right track for the people in front of you right now. Programming is an art you can learn and get good at, but you never get perfect at, whereas everything else can be learned. So I totally agree with you there, Brandon. Del Sang says, hi Phil, running late this morning. What's the topic? It's the 5 big mistakes that DJs are still making in 2019. A one of our webinar from last night. So the mistake when you make you try and beat match every single transition instead of dropping in on the one when you transition from genre to genre. Yeah, this is other stuff, but yes, that is also over-reliance on the same techniques every time. It's just about getting the next track played. But anyway, we're digressing there. Right, we've covered 4 of them. Number 5, I wanted to give you one about promoting, and this is definitely true for 2019. The big mistake we see people making. We see people thinking that setting up an Instagram channel, a Mixcloud channel and sticking a mix on it, a Facebook page, and maybe even their own website and email list is what promoting is about. They think that is promoting. They think posting content and chasing likes online is what you do to promote yourself, and that they can't understand why they're not getting gigs from doing that. And you're missing out a vital step here, right? The vital step here is, and of course the reason this is big in 2019 is all these things exist in 2019. They didn't exist when we started. If we wanted to promote ourselves, we had to leave our house. We had to network. We had to hustle for gigs. We had to play gigs. If you do the things I just said, leave your house, network, hustle for gigs, play gigs, put on your own events. If you do all those things, you are creating buzz around yourself. That is called promoting yourself. And you know what that does? It generates content, because you're going to film that stuff. You're going to take photos. You're going to take email addresses. You're going to have set lists. You're going to have recordings of what you played. All this content can now be posted and shared and chopped up and used on all your social media channels, on your YouTube, on your Instagram, on your Mixcloud, on your FaceCloud, on your Facebook, on your SoundCloud, on your web page, right? Now you've created content. That content creates likes and follows and shares and buzz. But without creating that content in the first place, you're not promoting yourself, you're setting up social media channels. So look, imagine you wanted to be a tennis player, right? And you set up all those channels, and you had a photo shoot, and you put pictures of you with your tennis racket on all your channels and said, hey, I'm a tennis player. You're not a tennis player unless you're actually playing tennis, are you? When you replace DJing with tennis, it all makes sense, doesn't it? But yet DJs think that by coming up with a mix in their bedroom and then chasing likes and shares and follows and stuff on social and getting that mix out and hoping that they're going to get bookings, that makes them a DJ and that they're actually promoting themselves. But they're not. Playing gigs, hustling, networking, making connections, helping people, promoting your own little events, that's promoting yourself. And social media, the likes, follows and shares, is a result of that. It's a symptom of you doing that well. So people miss that out, and we see it a lot, and people kind of feel like they should be getting the breaks, but they're not actually doing the work. I'm being frank because it's true. So I'll give you an example with me and my DJing. This is back in the day before Facebook and so on. But I promoted a club night, which in 1997, when there was a massive EDM-like explosion in DJing in the United Kingdom, it took off, really took off. We had thousands of people around the block. Within 2 years, I'd bought my house, my first house, in cash. I had a lot of success very quickly. But guess what? Everyone who looked at me and said, oh, right place, right time, that dude's so jammy. I had been playing 5 nights a week for 5 years at that point, and I'd been poor for all that time, and it had all built to a point where it all suddenly took off. Now, I'm not saying your journey is going to be the same. What I am saying is you've got to play the gigs. I'd played probably 1,000 gigs at that point. You've got to play the gigs, because if you don't play the gigs, you're not going to build up the buzz, and you're not going to get yourself in the right place at the right time, which looks like luck to everyone else, but actually it's furthest from luck. So promoting is basically getting gigs and then leveraging everything that happens at the gigs, everyone you meet and all the assets you get on your social media channels and so on. But you can't miss out the doing the DJ thing part of promoting. You've got to actually do stuff. You can't just do it all online. You can't promote yourself sat on your bum. So that's a mistake we see people making an awful lot as well. My family are here, and seeing we've finished, shall I just get them over to say hello? Should we get them over to say hello? Hey kids, come and say hello to Facebook. Oh, they love it. They love it. I tell you, these are going to make better YouTubers than me one day. Come and say hello quickly. We've got. Say hello.
Hello, guys.
Big wave. What do they need to do underneath the video?
Subscribe and like.
Right, lovely.
Click the notification.
You go and have a play over there now while I finish this off. I'll
bye
see you in a bit. Bye-bye. There you go. They're going to be stars one day. Well, that's really good. Right, folks. So there we go. There's our 5 things. If you've just joined us, kids, gotta love them. If you've just joined us, we are talking through 5 big mistakes DJs always make, even in 2019. And we've talked through lots of interesting stuff. So watch the replay in order to pick up on it. And ask questions and share and like, because, as the kids say, that'll help us do this stuff. Let's read a few more of your comments out, and then I've got something special to tell you about at the end. Lots of you saying, oh, look at the kids. Yep. So out of the 5 areas, says Mark, promoting is hardest for me. Yeah, it is hard. You've got to get yourself kind of out your comfort zone to do it. I agree completely. I'm not trying to make this easy or pretend it's easy. It isn't. So if the genre you want to play, this is a good piece of advice from Mark. He says, if the genre you want to play doesn't have a local Facebook group, set one up. I started a local house and techno underground page, and managers of local bars and clubs have noticed all the local DJs I didn't know have come together. If you can be a connector, you really do shine. Mark, that is such a good piece of advice. In fact, I'm going to steal that and teach it if you don't mind, Mark. Another way of looking at this is, if you want something, ask yourself what has to be in place for you to get it. So imagine this: you want to play the music you love. You're into rock and hip hop, right? So you want to play a rock and hip hop night. So what do? Well, you say, how many people need to be there for it to be a success? And you think, you know what, 50 would do. So you find a venue that holds 50 people. You decide the music you're going to play. You print some tickets and you sell them to everyone you know. Half of them will turn up. You'll get 30 people there. But guess what? That night will lead to so much for you, I promise you. But by not asking for permission, by just doing it, and by getting on with this and doing something worth talking about, you will start to create the buzz and start to promote yourself. Right, I want to end with just one thing, because some of you will know, some of you won't. Right now, we've done the course of our book. Our book, Rock the Dance Floor, is an Amazon bestseller. We've done the course of it. It's called the Complete DJ Course. It covers the 5 areas I'm talking about, which is gear, music, techniques, playing out, and promoting yourself. But rather than just giving you kind of one piece of advice in all 5 areas, it gives you dozens and dozens and dozens. In fact, it is a huge, huge course. Many, many, many hours of training with me. And you also get to interface with me all the way through it. I'm literally there answering your questions, helping you out. There's a lot more to it than that, and I haven't got time to tell you about it now. But all I'd like to say is the course is now public. It went public on Friday, and we've got some awesome ways of getting on that course. In fact, you can start for $99. So it's really worth having a look at if you want to learn some of this stuff I'm talking about. It's really good if you're new to DJing or you're returning to DJing after a break and everything's changed and you want to get up to speed. So I'd like you to take a look at that course. You can get it. My team are going to post a link underneath. So click on that link that will be underneath this video. I'll give you one now. They'll tell me off because it's the wrong one, but it works. djtips.co, djtips.co, not .com, /steps, STEPS, like stairs, steps. djtips.co/steps will get you there. Or if you just go to digitaldjtips.com, click on any of the big adverts for the Complete DJ course. It's only this week. It's $99 to get on board, and it's a really good payment plan we've got for it. And you get not only everything that the course has, but if you sign up this week, you get 8 hours of training with me, 8 hours of small group training with me, where we just get together online and we ask questions and we share stuff, and I give you extra advice and extra help. So it's really worth having a look at if you want to learn this stuff. Right, that's quite enough about the course. I hope you really enjoyed this today. If you have, please click like now, give me some love. Also, please do share this if you're watching on YouTube, especially. We want to build it up there, but also on Facebook. And if you're in the Global DJ Network, it's good to have you there. You are the best of the best. And we're really enjoying broadcasting to you in there. This has been the first of the Digital DJ Tips, Tuesday Tips Live Summer Schools, live from Phil Morse's back garden. And we'll be having these for the next couple of months, if this one sounds and looks all right technically, until we get back to the Digital DJ Tips studio at the start of the term in September, and we will start the whole thing over again. So for now, let us know what you want to see covered on these underneath. Give us your questions and feedback. We will answer everyone, even if you're giving us questions and feedback on the replay. We will still get to you and still answer you. All that's left for me to say is, people, get good, get out there and make the moments. And I will see you again very soon. Don't forget to check out the Complete DJ course this week. See you later.